Hi everyone, it's Cindy and I'm here for kind of the wrap of Dephemerember to do kind of the flip through of everything that we made, and yeah, just a fun review of everything. I really enjoyed Dephemerember 2024. I felt like the prompts were fun and it was interesting. Didn't feel too challenging. I think I did some new things. Yeah, I just had fun. I didn't feel overwhelmed by it or anything like that. So let me get my bucket here. Whenever I do these kind of challenges, I always set aside like a little plastic bin like this to kind of put everything into as I'm going along, and then, you know, I can present it to you and see what we did. So I'll start sort of from the back here. And I'll just set it aside. So if we go to day 2, altered playing card and antique keys, that day I did 2 projects and they were a lot of fun. I made these little doored bits. This one had a tuck spot and we had fun with that. I liked this one, and I think I'll definitely like do this again with the way that I cut these out. And like this one, we turned it into a shaker with the queen hiding in here behind the king. We have these little gold hearts and black hearts back in there. And those are just 2 journal cards. Then, where should I put this stuff? Over here. Then on day 2, we did a layered tag and retro film strip. Now, I changed one thing about this from the time that I made it, this layered tag. So I had bradded these kind of together so that when you slid them out, you would see this behind. But then I took the brad out and just decided I would like this better like this, with these interesting bits showing on the outside. So I think I would love to just put this like in a book over, you know, as an upper tuck kind of thing, but I could also put it into a pocket or any kind of, you know, situation. So this one was fun because I got to use these vintage photos, this little dollhouse, this little girl, lots of gold spattering, and these fun acetate film strips, and we've got 2 writing surfaces on this little layered tag. So that one was fun. Then on day number 4, Apothecary Label and Quirky Cat or Dog, I made this whole series from these girls here with these cats. Let me just grab them. There's 2 sets of them, and these girls are all holding cats, and these are all these cute little labels. So yeah, I had a lot of fun making those. I think they turned out nicely. They'll go into lots of fun journals. I'm excited I can actually use all of this ephemera now to be good. I might put one of them in my current journal actually. And then we had a snippet roll and woven flowers, and I know this one was a lot of fun because I brought a fiber arts, you know, aspect to it with doing some real weaving and putting in these felt flowers that I made, or these fiber flowers, and then adding on the book spine and stuff, and then lining the back with fabric. I know this inspired a lot of folks to take up weaving. I think a couple people ended up buying looms and sending me some messages about pulling out their weaving or thinking about doing weaving a little differently, and that made me so happy because like that's kind of the meeting place of my 2 artistic kind of souls, like the fiber arts and the paper arts, and it kind of came together and did something beautiful there. So that one. Then on day 9, journaling card and beloved visitor. So on this day I did some jelly printing because I was thinking about Froyle from Froyle Arts, who's you know, undergoing some health challenges, and I just wanted to send her a little bit of my heart and do some jelly printing, as she always inspires me to do. And the beloved visitors that I share are these birds, because birds are like so much a part of the joy of my life. I love birds so much, and I have a lovely smart bird feeder in my backyard that we get birds coming to all the time, and that's kind of where I went with that one. Then the next one, day 10, was an altered pocket and texture fragments. So I made a bunch of pieces that day. These are all pockets because I used up a whole bunch of my fabric scraps, and I showed the process of putting them in the wash away cloth. What is that stuff called? I forget the name right now. But that's okay. You can watch the video and I'll tell you all about it. So I made a whole bunch of these fabric pockets, and I think those came out really fun, and I'm excited to use those. So lots of stitching and fun with that one. The next day was Bookmark and Black and White, and this was the day something happened. I can't remember what happened, but something did. Oh, I think I had no sound, because either I had no voice or I lost the sound. I don't remember, but I love how this turned out with all the layering. I used a vintage photograph. I used this authentic cabinet card, and just lots of black and white and a bit of gray kind of stuff, and I really like how that turned out. And then the least favorite ephemera and bookbinders art. So I don't have that one to share because I actually made that into a journal. It was a winter magic journal, and it is gone to its forever home. So you can go back and look at the video, and you will be able to see me working on that journal, and then take a look at my journals that I've done flip throughs of recently, and you will see the forest magic journals or the winter magic journal that I did. Then this was Tuck Spot and Cheese, and this came from a beautiful children's book, and I made this whole thing into a big tuck spot here, and it's like a tuck spot signature, so it goes into the center of a book. And I added these little Richard Scarry cheese, these little mice and little cheese cars to the bottom. This is from a book called Rats Magic, and it's all about the magic of rats. It's got a whole story to it. And then next we had Flip Out Page and Old Photos, and I think I did a little bit of a mask make with this one. So I used my boiled book paper and some old sort of Hollywood starlet photographs that I'd also boiled to make a couple shaker cards. So we have gold sequins in these. And then the rest were a little more simplistic. This one was probably the most simplistic in that I just took the paper as is and made it into a flip because I just love it so much. And then this one, it was a tip up, and I just added some bits and bobs. This one had an old document, same thing. And see, like where these get special is that they're boiled book pages, and they're just gorgeous because of that. So that was a whole mass make. And then with the next day, the mini pocket letter and specimen, I made this bit, and so this is like a little booklet. So I actually learned something entirely new when I made this, because I'd never heard of a mini pocket letter before, and now I know many ways of kind of making them and just enjoying them. And I was able to use the specimens in there and some of my rusty carbonized leaf paper and some just beautiful botanical papers, and I just made this little booklet. And then I just used a little clip here to clip the whole thing together because I'd seen a lot of people do that with mini pocket letters. I don't honestly think it really needs it. It would just sit in a pocket as is. But yeah, it's fun like that. So then, we have a little piece of lace there hanging out in my bin. Then the next thing was paper bag handle and slow stitching. So I did take a paper bag with its handle attached, and I kind of like wound it in a circle to make it kind of like the top piece, right? And you could make a wall hanging this way. This could hang on the wall. And then I just did some, layering of nice fabrics, and then different kinds of slow stitches over top. I made it into a nice big journal card. Then the next day was the 23rd, and we did altered book page and blackout poetry. So I think the most fun with this one was that I was able to demonstrate how you can literally create poetry on any book page. And I went through and I just created this poem. At the farther end, at full speed, not improved upon, it seemed an interminable time, swept out over the broad reaches to the eastward. Here he found himself in strange waters, a tangled maze of islands and distorted channels. Well distanced, tinkering, she crept up a beam, the distance between abridged by half. So that was really fun. And when I did the blackout, I did it in marker, and then I in this black space I did some embossing to kind of make the blackout a little more interesting, and then added this fun topper and a label at the bottom and some die cutting just to kind of dress it up a bit. And then the next day was so fun. It was, oh, no, wrong one. This one. Yes, it was fun too. Photo frame and steampunk butterfly. So this was lots of die cutting and layering and using wax rubs. And I love how the colors all turned out on this one with this little light bulb in the middle. So yeah, that one was fun. And then the next one was the double tag and mechanical garden. This ended up being a way simpler project than I thought it was going to be. I really could have taken this to like many levels, but I didn't. I just decided to let these inspire the project. So I hinged together this beautiful botanical page and then added some little metal gears that are designed for crafting. So they're nice and flat, and glued them on into the, stem sections of the botanicals. And I just think that's a really fun piece. It doesn't always have to be like supremely complicated. Then we did a collaged postcard and curiosity shop. This was another very simple, using things up kind of, project. So this is a postcard, an old postcard. I didn't care about what was on the front, so I did some layering and covered it all up with all these bits and bobs that are, frames. And then inside this window, we have like this Marie Antoinette kind of looking woman and an owl and a sewing machine. So it's like peering into a curiosity shop. Then we have the envelope flip and secret love letter. So this one was playing with some iridescent oil paints, and then I wanted to do something that had like some nice texture to it, so I laminated the whole thing with a big oak leaf inside, and I did some embossing of the whole envelope, so there's like some, hopefully you can see the floral embossing. And then in the letter that's inside, this is the secret love letter, there is inside of it I wrote a little sentiment. These are two pieces of paper glued together, so there's like a secret sentiment inside there. And then I glued them together and embossed them and just inked over the embossing on both sides so it matches the envelope. And then this would just tuck into a journal and be an envelope flip, and it would be a lot of fun. Then the last piece is mixed media tag and urban graffiti, and for this one I chose to use the remainder of my my box that I've been using for a year to do mixed media in. So it already had a very graffiti kind of sprayed and many layers of things on it, and so I took that apart, and then I went to a book that has inspired me for a lot of different work, and it kind of took me on this place of thinking about graffiti and urban centers and what the connection in urban centers can look like, things like community gardens and outdoor maker spaces. And I'm always inspired by those kind of environments, like when you've got a little town or like a large city that feels like it has like a little community in it, like most of our large cities have like a Chinatown or like a fashion district, or those kind of places where something imprints its like being on that space. And that's how I felt about this. I'm always inspired by old signs from like buildings that used to have industrial purposes that are now repurposed into things like lofts or what have you. And then just the kind of unique people that you see. And I thought about this as a community garden, and then I did all sorts of stamping and things. So if you want to see more of that sort of story, you can watch the full video on it for December the 31st. But that is a wrap for Dephemerember. So I just want to say thank you, first of all, to Barbara and Louisa for, this 4th year of Dephemerember. It's been a lot of fun following along. I liked this year a lot. I thought it was simultaneously very good, creativity, good community collaboration. I didn't feel like anything was missing. I liked the kind of more almost focused, like approach. Year 3, I'll admit, was a little like harder for me, because not harder for me, I just didn't, I'm not someone who like falls into a lot of sentimental type things. I felt like it was a little too sentimental for me, if that makes sense. Not to say that has to be for anybody else. Like, we were all super different, and that's totally fine. And I think every year we can experience some differences with Dephemerember or any other challenge, and we can embrace them and work together and like still get really inspired by the creativity of everyone in the community. I have to say, I absolutely loved a lot of projects that were done this year by both Barbara and Louisa. It would be very hard to kind of pick favorites. I got some ideas, I think, from both of them, as well as from some other folks that I found during this time. I think I found and followed quite a few other channels, and that's nice. And thank you to everyone who joined me here because of Dephemerember. I hope you will stay, and I will continue to do fun projects, tutorials, and casual videos, and all sorts of things with the community, because it's a lot of fun. And that's actually what drew me in for this Dephemerember challenge this year. There's always a lot of December daily type options, or Christmas or whatever, this time of year where we all sort of settle down and we settle into our art a bit. But Dephemerember drew me in because, to be completely honest, I think I've met some of my very closest friends in the community, like through Dephemerember, like some, a lot of people who've joined me on Patreon. Like, we connected through this, I think, more art focused challenge. I think that's like a big draw for me, is that it falls outside of just like journaling, it falls outside of crafting, and it tells you essentially to push yourself. And I think that's what kind of drew me into it initially, because like with the first year, there wasn't a lot of like advertising ahead of time, at least not that I saw, and it was during lockdown. And so like I remember just watching their videos in the morning on like the 1st of December or something, and feeling like, yeah, I'm still in my jammies and I'm not going to work. And I rushed downstairs to take a stab at what they were doing, and it was an open collaboration. And I just thought, like, what better time than now for this, because I was working at home every day. I had little kids at the time. I had a bit of time in the morning, and I was just able to like craft along, art along. And I think every day I looked at these prompts and I thought, how can I do this differently than everybody else? Like, how will I think about it uniquely from how everyone else thinks of it? And I think I still do that. Like, I used to, and I did this year too. I would look at the prompt the day before or something that I planned to film, and then that night I would go to bed thinking about it, and I would kind of dream about or think about what I would do that next day. And I honestly think it's just a really nice time to spend in December. So yeah, that is my whole spiel on Dephemerember. I will 100% do it again, because I just like I like it. It's fun. And I will talk to all of you again very soon. I have all sorts of fun things that are sort of kind of semi-planned for 2025. And I look forward to seeing you here in this creative space. So have a great day, and bye for now.